Hey everybody, welcome back to MACkiteboarding.com Wing Wednesdays, and today I'm going to talk to you about the new Flysurfer Mojo wing foiling wing. This is the first release wing from Flysurfer. They've been in kiteboarding a long time. These guys make phenomenal kites, ram air kites. Their company also makes paragliders and stuff like that. So they really know what they're doing designing wings and sails. So we've been really excited to try this one out, and I've been trying it for about a month now. So I got some good experience on it. Figured I'd touch base with y'all and tell you a little bit more about it. So let's take a quick look at it here real quick. And then we'll get into the specifics of it. So the Flysurfer Mojo is an exciting new wing. They run a huge gamut of sizes, so no matter what weight you are, what kind of wind you're going out in, they've got the wing for you. As you can tell, it's a really good looking wing. They've got a few different colorways, and I think they just nailed the look of it. It's just really a beautiful wing. Got some nice useful window placement here in multiple segments, so you can still fold that nicely and you don't need to worry so much about the deformation of the windows over time or any kind of creasing, cracking stuff. Really useful windows, interesting placement, but they do make, you know, use as much as you can with a window. If you watch my previous videos, you know, I'm like, nah, you can kind of take them or leave them, I don't need them. But if you are trying to look kind of down through the sail without lifting the sail out of your way, these can be very helpful. And on this one in particular, you can see out the bottom of the wing, which is a unique thing. When you're holding the wing high, especially as new riders or in light wind, you're holding the wing high a lot, you can still see through the window, so that's really important. All right, so that's kind of the front end of the wing. Let's get to the back end here, kind of the business side of things, where all the exciting things happen. I got a little bit of wind here today. All right, there we go. Kind of put her at an angle there because that's how she likes to sit. All right, so I'll start at the front end and we'll kind of just work our way through the wing here. On the front end here, you can see this large handle here, really nice for surfing. And when you're getting started, real easy to hold on to, nice and big, cushioned. You can see the reinforcements here with the Kevlar patches to really extend the life of the wing, and that's on all these attachment points here, including the leash line. Our main handles, so these front handles and your flying handles, have a really unique kind of bumpy surface here. You can see how there's like little finger wells almost here to hold on to, and it really makes a difference in holding onto the wing and wanting to keep your hand positioning, whether, you know, on a drooped handle like this, it always kind of wants to fall to center. So if you're holding up here, then you have to grip it tighter. But with these, it just indexes your fingers, so you don't need to hold on as tight. You kind of know where you're going, you know you're not slipping around. So that's really handy. The leash on this wing, I can't really speak to. This one is a Flysurfer cuff, which is a really nice lightweight cuff. But this leash line, they didn't have one for me, so this is just like an old safety line from a kiteboarding kite that I'm using. Inflation system here, you can see it's a dual point inflation, so you pump up the leading edge and the boom separately. That's really nice because it isolates your bladder. No strut tubes here to grab accidentally and tear off and deflate the wing. Just easier to dump, inflate. You can even isolate your bladder from your leading edge and your boom at different pressures to adjust your performance based on, you know, if you're in higher winds, lower winds, and how you like that to flex and feel in gusty conditions or smooth conditions. It's pretty neat, but I'm a big fan of these dual zone inflations. You can see it's just that high pressure style valve, very slim, very easy to use, fast inflation, fast deflation. Oop. way here. So we'll get into the handles here. We've got 3 long boom style handles here where you can adjust your hand placement. And I'd say, oh, these are pretty big, probably 18 or 20 inches wide. So there's a lot of adjustment here. You have a middle one, so you can still fly this one one-handed or two-handed with a real narrow grip with the harness line, if that's something you're doing, and just kind of really narrow that so you're not holding your hands so wide and above your head and all that. Just makes for a really comfortable riding experience. As I mentioned before, they've got these kind of bumpy handles. They're really cushiony and soft, but just index your fingers so nicely. You know, if you're way back here on a lighter day trying to get most power, you don't need to death grip this thing so you don't slide into the middle. It just kind of indexes comfortably here. And the same for the backhand. You know, if you're all the way back here, further forward, you know, just indexing those fingers across those little finger wells is so nice and comfy. You can see here I'm using an Ozone harness line, a little bungee harness line. It attaches to the loops here, sewn into the wing. See a little pigtail on that one. Or if you have just the other kind, you can connect to the knot and the loop there. This one just needed an extension because of where I hooked them up in the length of the line. So that is the handles. Now if you look at the shape of this wing, this is really something that's really cool, and I think, you know, they did their homework and they figured out what wings are really performing well and emulated that. They've gone with a really large strut. I mean, this is a 6 meter, so it's a big wing, but this is still a really large strut. It tapers very naturally through the back and kind of cones out at the end, but you know, it's very aerodynamic, good flow to it, really rigid, and that shape, you know, really just gives a lot of stiffness to that boom to maximize your pumping and make sure the wing's holding in an optimal shape. Got a real deep boom panel here. Again, this is 6 meters, so it's bigger, but it's creating maximum power per square meter, shaping that foil section across the back of the wing for that optimal airfoil for maximum performance and speed, power. Looking at kind of the front edge of the wing here, you see it's got a fair amount of dihedral. So it's creating a lot of power, but still balanced and comfortable. And really the thick leading edge tapering into kind of this unique square tapered wingtip really holds a really stiff frame. It's very front centered, doesn't sweep back a whole lot, but then it just takes that kink at the end. So, you know, all this canopy tension, except for just this last bit, is very rigid and holding the canopy forward. But then having the truncated wingtip here narrows the wingspan a bit while still keeping that performance, and does allow it to deflect just a little bit to absorb some gusts. So that's really cool. Looking at kind of the overall profile of this wing, you can see where the trailing edge goes, what's kind of unique about this wing and how it looks. You know, if you look at the shape and size of the wingtip, I mean, it's almost halfway up the strut where that wingtip terminates. So you've got these really angled trailing edges, and they hold a lot of tension, and really that very straight leading edge is holding a lot of that shape in the front end. And then, you know, the big stiff boom is taking out through the back. But it's really interesting because it allows you to have a wider wingspan without a real difficulty in handling, because when you're holding the wing trying to pump up, it doesn't have like that flat trailing edge where like all this, what would be over here, really wants to drag in the water or get in your way or make it difficult to handle. But this 6, despite having a pretty large wingspan, is really easy to handle, because if you see the way I hold it here, like if I'm pumping up and I'm getting started, you know, you can hold it at a pretty good angle without actually dragging the wingtip because of the shape of that trailing edge. So that's really neat. Also, standing back and looking at it, one thing you'll notice is the handles are pretty forward positioned over the total length of the boom. And again, that's that flatter leading edge profile and the shape of the leading edge versus the trailing edge in terms of canopy size. it balances the wing more forward. So on other wings where you'd be handling it from kind of halfway back and you got to crawl all the way up to the leading edge, you know, when you're starting, or if you're going to luff it out and surf a wave, you know, this is a 6 meter, and well, it's a 6.2, but this is a pre-production. The real one will be a 6 meter. You don't need to crawl up very far. I mean, your front hand is here. It's already very close to that leading edge. Makes it really easy to get started. Makes it really easy to transition to the surf handle when you're riding waves. And yeah, just overall increases the performance of the wing while allowing it to be much larger than it would be otherwise. So really excited about this design. I was like, well, on paper I saw it and I'm like, man, there's some really cool stuff going on. Flysurfer obviously thought outside the box on this one. And I gotta say, it's that much better in experience. I have nothing really bad to say about this wing at all. I mean, it's very light, it surfs well, it's got great low end grunt, it jumps well. Really look for the Flysurfer Mojo to be a leading wing this year, I think. So, you know, if you're able to get your hands on one to try it out from a buddy or at a demo or something, definitely give it a go. And if you're after a real versatile wing, especially something in the larger sizes that are going to give you that higher aspect feel and performance without the difficulty in handling, check out the Mojo. It's got some unique stuff going on, and yeah, it's a great introduction for Flysurfer into the wing foiling category. So that is that. Good to go. I've been riding this one for about a month now, give or take a week, I guess. And again, like I said, no real complaints. It's a very comfortable, easy to ride wing. The harness line is really well balanced where you can just kind of lean back into it. It's in a nice spot. And yeah, I mean, I even rode it one day up to like 26 knots on the 6.2. And that was really lit at that point, obviously, but it handled it really well. The wingtips flexed out just a little bit in the gusts and just help absorb that. And being closer to the front of the leading edge just really allows you to dump power quickly. You know, if you're really far back, you really have to throw a lot of boom out to depower the wing. But since you're so far forward, you know, you're really close to that kind of hinge point on the front edge of the wing. It allows you to dump power really well, which I would say is a pretty unique feature in terms of large wings. A lot of them are more centered across the boom in terms of where you're navigating the wing from. So that's been really cool. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this wing, and I'd say obviously it's a big wing. I'd say it's best for me for light wind, but also performed really well in the surf on a really overpowered day. Didn't get in my way, it felt really balanced and light in my hands. So I've been pretty excited about this one, and really looking forward to trying more sizes and seeing how it fits into my quiver. This has been Tucker with MACkiteboarding.com's Wing Wednesdays, and we'll see you next time.